Obtain 3 leaves, 1 myrtle leaf, philodendron leaf, and spinach leaf.
Next, take a hole punch and punch 10 discs from each leaf.
Next, fill 3 beakers of 30 milliliters of sodium bicarbonate.
Next, place the leaves in 3 different syringes and fill those syringes with 5 milliliters of sodium bicarbonate and soap solution.
To reduce surface tension, create a vacuum by pulling the syringe and covering the top with your finger and swirl. Repeat until all 10 discs in each syringe sink.
Add the sunken leaf discs from each syringe to the beakers with 30 milliliters of sodium bicarbonate and place them under the lamp.
Start a timer for 15 minutes and record how many floating discs there are for every 30 seconds. So as we can see in our data tables, we found that spinach had a floating disc at 6 minutes, a second one at 8 minutes, and a third one at 10 minutes. The myrtle leaf had one floating disc at 13 minutes and a second floating disc at 15 minutes. The philodendron leaf had one floating disc at 14 minutes.
Our hypothesis was refuted by our data because it showed that spinach had a higher rate of photosynthesis than the myrtle leaf that we originally thought was going to photosynthesize faster. This could mean that lighter colored plants, in this case spinach, have higher rates of photosynthesis. But our experiment did have room for error.
The possibility of error in our experiment includes, but is not limited to, the lamp used and the waxy texture of the myrtle leaf. The lamp we used could have had a different light wavelength than what the leaf needed for photosynthesis, which would have slowed or inhibited the rate of photosynthesis. The waxy texture of the myrtle leaf made it difficult for surface tension to break, so we added more soap to the solution, which made the ratio of CO2 to soap lower, again causing photosynthesis rate to be slower or inhibited.
If photosynthesis rates are higher in lighter colored plants, as shown in our experiment, the real-world application of this experiment would be to farmers choosing crops that would maximize their food production. If farmers were to choose plants with lighter colored leaves, regardless of whether they live in darker or lighter areas, their crop production would be higher than if they had chose crops with darker colored leaves. So specifically in places like Seattle, Arizona, and Utah with not as much light intensity from the sun, farmers can produce more crops by farming plants with lighter colored leaves, which have higher rates of photosynthesis according to our experiment.